providing national economic benefits to nations, especially as over 150 nations are getting their resources through, forestry. On this note, to open the program for this week, Agric Economy on ARCN Television, Abuja, Nigeria. I am Kejija Oluwatoyin Amin. This week on Agric Economy will be focused on the economic impact of deforestation to the nation, and to discuss that with me in his office is our economist in the person of Mr. Advert. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, we know that Nigeria as a nation cannot pride himself among nations that say that they do not partake or do the deforestation thing.
Yeah.
This has over time been an issue when it comes to environmental hazards and the rest of it, where we've had experts, even international partners, calling on stakeholders in Nigeria to stop using charcoal. And we know that this charcoal are being gotten from the woods that has been gotten from the impact of deforestation.
Yeah.
So far, generally, what is the impact of deforestation to our Nigerian economy?
Actually, deforestation has a devastating impact on our economy. Apart from the legal loggers of wood, you have 90% of the forest resources being looted by illegal loggers in the country, and this is having a devastating impact on the wildlife, on the environment, causing serious environmental hazards that could have been prevented if our forest is intact in its natural habitat. So for ecological reasons, we have seen situations where causes of deforestation has actually caused insecurity in the country, and it has also caused displacement of people. And also because of continuous urban rural migration and shift, forest areas have been given to development, and in the process, critical sectors of the forest have been cut off through deforestation, affecting the habitat and also affecting Nigeria as a whole.
Okay, looking at, you've spoken to us about the negative effect. You just spoke that there are some legalized loggers who do this for business. But what does it portend for Nigeria?
Yes, Nigeria has vast resources in the forest, especially for wood logging, and you will discover that still up to 70% of Nigeria's land area is forest. So it gives a great potential of what Nigeria has to offer when it comes to forest resources. So logging of wood legally has helped Nigeria to increase its foreign income, foreign exchange income. Apart from the fact that the logged wood are used locally, some of them are exported to other countries for use, and some of them are exported raw to be re-imported back in finished forms or improved forms. So Nigeria has gained a lot of resources from segmented and controlled deforestation that is legally approved by the country. But if you look at it very well, Nigeria stands a chance of even gaining more if there is controlled deforestation and reforestation as well. If the Nigerian government wants to ensure that we enhance our benefit in in logging of wood in our forest resources, then the policies of felling a wood and planting 10 should be implemented, so that as many wood that is felled in the forest legally, 100% of it can be reproduced over time. If the Nigerian government can follow this through the respective ministries and agencies involved, it will really help to improve the economy of Nigeria as regards forest resources. Two, it will also help to ensure that there is security for the animals in the forest, and the natural habitat is not unnecessarily disturbed. Nigeria has been gaining to a large extent in felling of wood, but we could gain much more if the legalized ones are properly implemented with reforestation plans in place, and the people that are logging wood illegally in the country are also brought to book through whatever means that they have been doing it. So Nigeria stands a lot to gain when it comes to logging of wood in the country.
Okay, we've spoken about the let me say negative and positive aspect of it, and of course the economic benefit. We know that in Nigeria we have more of the informal sector than of the formal sector. Now, how do we differentiate between what should be done in checkmating these certified loggers and the non-certified loggers? Because if you check, I know for some of us who lived in who grew up in some areas that are like riverine, or who have had experiences with staying in areas that, for example, being someone who had stayed in Lagos, you see that they'll tell you that they're loggers and they're sending wood, and then for months they begin to wait for this wood to arrive. This is because they are the wood push itself through the waters down to the destination, and then maybe there's going to be like a follow-up. Somebody goes to, for example, if the wood is coming from a Butemeta, they now follow. Isn't that just rigorous? If we say yes, this is something that gives the nation money.
Actually, if you look at the experiences you are sharing, comes up as a result of illegal logging, and that is why they take various routes. It's just like smuggling of other items. They take various discrete routes to be able to get to the destination. The same thing with even those that are using the roads. You discover that they have set times that they come out from the bush with the logged wood, and they'll be able to defy security measures to be able to move to their destination. That is why you see that even when those requests are made, it takes time, because they will look at the escape routes that they are going to take, whether by sea or by land. So, coming to your question of how we can harmonize them to ensure that they are legal, I believe that in Nigeria we still have a lot to do with sensitization of our communities. We still has a lot to do with capacity building in areas of training of our officials and also the people in the community. Now, the first point of call for government and its agencies should know very well be the traditional rulers in the various areas, forest areas in the country, whether the obas, the obis, and the emirs. We need to have a symbiotic relationship with them as regards the importance of ensuring that their indigenes are not found culpable of this illegal logging. And how can we do that? When we empower the traditional rulers to be able to take note of all the indigenes and the settlers in their communities, then it will now come to an extent of registration of those that are in that business. Now, what registration does is that it helps to weed out illegality in the process. And what registration does is also to help to give guidelines to all those that will partake in logging of wood and things that must be done to ensure that the forest is re-equipped. Now, when these sensitizations are done in the various communities through the traditional rulers and the agencies of government, you come to try as much as possible to legalize the practitioners in the process. Apart from those that are already legalized in the country, we need to legalize more people, because it can improve the economy of Nigeria, it can increase our GDP if it is properly done. So when these people are legalized, we will be able to have restrictions, restricted areas and areas that can be used for logging. When we adhere to all the instructions, the guidelines of government, as regard registration, as being a member of an officially recognized association for logging, and having the requisite tools to be able to, because some of them are using crude tools that can even spoil the vegetation of the forest. So once they are registered, they can be able to be checked to know that they have the requisite tools, they have the requisite equipment to move these logs without affecting the forest habitat. And after that, they will also be able to be monitored to ensure that they are keeping to the guidelines of reserved areas and areas that can be used for logging. And when those areas are closed for logging, they will also be able to adhere to the instructions of government, and so that it can be used to it can regenerate itself over time while other areas are given to them. So another aspect is the payment of tax to the government. Illegal miners, illegal loggers do not pay tax. They evade government tax. So registering, having it legal will help government to be able to collect its lawful revenue from this business, because it becomes a lawful business that must pay tax to the government and will be adequately regulated. But it has to start from the communities, because it is in the communities that we have the forest, and it is from there that these things are done. The other aspect of it, when I also say about sensitization, has to do with the prevailing poverty in the country. The prevailing poverty in the country has made people to look at wood resources as a means of for example, charcoal or for cooking, instead of using other resources that are available, because it is perceived to be cheaper. So that is why more interest is in that area of getting enough wood. And with the recent government policy that has increased kerosene, that has increased petroleum products, it also makes people to tilt towards charcoal and wood for cooking activities and the rest. So the government also has to balance this to ensure that in putting out these policies, it also looks at the prevalence and the culture and the tradition of the people as regards cooking, using the wood for building, using it for other ventures as well.
Okay, you said it that these other local loggers, and then they evade tax and the rest of it. And of course, you also mentioned the fact that there is need for resident communities to also understand, to be sensitized as regards deforestation and the rest of it. If you look at some places where we have this deforestation, there have been reports of insecurity, we've had reports of flooding, we've had reports of natural disasters, so to say, in these areas. What can be done in this enlightenment? Because I know that, for example, the FCT is already an open ground.
Yes.
Before now, the places you see is just maybe the Transcorp Hilton, Area 1.
A lot of forest all around.
Area 1, and just few houses in Kukwaba, in Kuba.
Yeah.
Aside that, you see the vegetation, you
Fast
see the
vegetation.
And you'll be amazed, like, so place can actually be like this for those of us who came from the ever bustling area of Lagos State. So looking at this, even when you try to, let me say, in the process of government trying to enforce, let me use the enforcement now, because of course after sensitization, enforcement will follow. So for this enforcement to hold water, what are the roles of local leaders, so to say, the chiefs and the obas and the rest of them in this? Because you hear of the northeastern issue, the insecurity there.
Yes.
Before now, if you tell a normal Nigerian, they'll tell you that deforestation is only going to make it, is going to actually make it open for troops of Nigeria to be able to secure this border. But with the analysis you give, deforestation is actually going to safeguard.
Yeah.
So there is really more that Nigerians, farmers need to understand as regards when they go about this, even normal farming activities, even if they are not, professional loggers, because you see that some areas is new sites, and then you see people move in, and then you see them bringing down trees and use it for the purpose of. So it's actually not even for logging sake. Now it can be for domestic sake. How should they go about in this? Because sensitization, I believe, is going to be one way that this is going to drive home, the message.
Actually, just like I said earlier, we need a lot of engagement with the traditional rulers and leaders of thoughts in our various communities. Deforestation has aided insecurity. We cannot rule that out because it is in the process of this deforestation that various routes are mapped out by these marauders to be able to know the routes they are going to take their victims through and to be able to secure the spots that they are going to use. And they use it as well as an opportunity to be always constantly inside the forest. Because they can say, oh, we are loggers and stuff like that, even when security agencies accost them. So we discover that in the forest in the southeast, for example, you discover that most of these terrorists or perpetrators of evil are operating from the forest. And it's because of their requisite knowledge of the forest, because of the excuses that they can use, that they are loggers, for example, that they'll be able to know the various routes that they are supposed to take. The second aspect is that through deforestation, the Fulani herders that move through the forest areas have also been able to know the routes of the forest with the pretext of moving about. So when you discover that the forest is being, the logging activities is increasing, it gives room for opportunities for people with evil conduct, with very bad ulterior motives to be able to use the forest for what it's not supposed to be in the pretext and the guise of logging. So it has aided insecurity to a large extent, and it has not allowed even the security that is allocated to the forest to be able to actually secure the forest as much as possible. But be that as it may, if the government can secure its forest, you discover that when the terrorist act of Boko Haram started, it started in a place in Borno called Sambisa Forest. So you discover that human beings have the tendency to start an insurrection where attention is not given to. And at that time, attention is not given to Sambisa Forest, and the people were able to settle in because of the vast nature of the forest, and they were able to perpetrate evil from there because the government authorities did not look into that area. So that is why when we are deforesting, when there is deforestation, there is logging of wood, it makes us to be open to both the insecurity of human activities and also the insecurity of ecological issues that leads to flooding and the rest. You see that heavily flooded areas in Nigeria have been victims of depleted forest because there is no buffer that can hold back any flooding activity that is coming. There is no buffer that can hold back a strong wind that could have been held back by the strong trees around there. So you discover that states like Lagos that does not have much forest, states like Abuja that does not have much forest anymore, and even Kogi State that is a victim of heavy deforestation are encountering a serious flooding annually. And this is because we have not been able to take cognizance of what we are supposed to do in the forest areas. So physical human activities has affected the forest and has made it not to be easy for the security agencies to secure the forest. And also it has also aided more ecological disasters because the things that we are supposed to do to reforest the areas, to grow more woods, to be able to have a shelf and a buffer, we have not done it as a country. So physical human activities is causing a lot of problem in the forest through logging, and also ecological problems have been encountered in most of these states that have depleted forest resources. So it's a major problem for the country.
Okay, that's been said. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll still bring you more on the impact of deforestation on the economy. Stay tuned. still the program Agric Economy on ARSN Television, Abuja, Nigeria, and I've been your host, Khadija Oluwatoyin Amin. The topic is deforestation and its impact on the economy. You know, we've talked so much. If you're just joining, yes, you still have a few minutes and catch up on what this discussion is. We've talked about the human impact of deforestation on the Nigerian economy, even on the soil, human activities, and the rest of it, the impact on security. Now, sir, you've highlighted these issues. What should government do? Aside sensitization, we've talked about sensitization, we've talked about possible enforcement. We know that this enforcement cannot actually get down to this the rural areas, yes. Because if you're saying the rural areas, you know that it's not. We also have the urban of the urban, yes. In Nigeria, of course. Definitely. So what should be done? What should be the mitigating effect? What should be, you know, something that is going to stand as a bridge in between people understanding this effect as bad as it stands? Yes.
One thing that we have to look at as a country is that Nigeria is a country with 36 states and the FCT. And virtually all the states have forest areas. So the issue of protection of our forests against deforestation is not for the federal government alone. It has to be a collaborative effort between the federal and the state government. And the state government should take particular interest in the issues that affect the forest areas in their domain. And the particular interest that they need to take is that over time, you discover that state governments look other ways for areas of revenue. They concentrate in the market, they concentrate in bringing expatriates or other businesses into their respective states for mining activities and others, not knowing the tremendous potential that is in the forest. So the state government needs to start seeing the potentials that is in the forest areas, their forest reserves, so that they can be able to implement policies that will first protect the forest and also be a revenue generator for their state. So it has to be a collaborative effort. And also the agencies saddled with the protection of our forest and also the regulation of the forest needs to stand up to their task, because the task ahead is enormous. We have seen the disasters that emanate from the forest due to mishandling over the years. So if the agencies stand up and bring up recommendations for government to implement, it will ease the disasters that come from the forest, increase the revenue that comes from the forest, and also legalize logging to the extent that it will be of tremendous benefit to our economy and also to our economic growth. Because when we are talking of logging, the wood resources are used for various aspects in building, even in automobile, in ship building, and the rest. So we cannot rule out the fact that there will be logging. But if it is properly done to the benefit of the economy, the government will enjoy it through revenue that will come from it both locally and internationally. And also it will be able to serve as a guide and help to be able to prevent disasters.
Thank you very much for shedding more light on the program, sir. I think with these farmers, Nigerians, I know so many people will be like, how come logging is coming in as agriculture? Logging is part, deforestation is part of the agricultural space, hence this is coming up on the program. Thank you for joining us on the program for the week. Don't forget to like and subscribe all our social media handles, YouTube, so that you can see when we drop our videos. I remain your host, Khadija Oluwatoyin, saying bye.